All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, today I want to talk about something pretty simple, so this one won't be too long. Creating 808 patterns for hip hop. Now, of course, this can be done with any genre. It's your choice, but let's focus more, I guess, on the hip hop style of things. I've got a pattern going on, and I'll play that for us so that we can hear that. I'll bring that into the mix. Okay, so two major things I want to focus on and how we're going to get these 808 patterns. For one, we're going to work with the drums sequencer. Maybe it's just known to you as drums. We're also going to look at tuned 808s, guys. So whether these are purchasable packs or packs that you can just simply download that are free extensions or free upgrades. Like I said in previous videos, personally, the best way to organize your downloads and your sounds within FL Studio Mobile is to just download every single pack so you know you're up to date. Okay, thanks for coming back to the channel, guys. Again, winning with blends, Justin Blends. Let's dive in a little deeper. So you see I've got a drum pattern and an 808 drum pattern at that, as well as an 808 synth tuned 808. So let's look at what I've done here. So I'm going to break this down into two quick areas and try to keep this as quick as possible. The effects that we have here aren't really relevant to what we're talking about. But first things first, if you wanted to get some tuned 808s, definitely get to the shop and make sure you get that update. Now, simply put, 808s would be in the, tuned 808s would be in the direct wave sampler batch area in the synth category. And of course, you just simply go to tuned 808s and you've got a variety of tuned 808s, guys. One of my favorite packs to use for so many reasons. I think it's obvious. 808s are just so classic and so great. And there are so many here that are useful. And again, they are tuned, so you can't really go wrong with playing these like you would a piano or a guitar or any other type of synthesizer, perfectly in tune, in key with whatever you're playing. So let me just add another one just for the purposes to show you, right? So there we've got an 808 distorted. We're not going to use it for this purpose, so let's just mute it. As a matter of fact, let's just completely delete it now that I've shown you exactly how to add your tuned 808s. Next, we're going to go to the 808 drums, and the same way, you're going to click the plus and you're going to go to, this time, drums. That's it, just drums, right? You click the drums sequencer and you're going to choose, of course, 808. So we get the 808s, and as you see, we've got a variety of 808 sounds. Here are our patches. Okay, there we go. We've got all of our 808 sounds. I'm going to click an X, and I'm also going to delete this because we've already got this and we don't need this. So now I want to focus on the 808 drums, or just the drum sequencer first, as the main focus of this video, for a couple of quick reasons, okay? Because if you notice, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tracks in this one 808 drum channel. If you long press or you right click, depending on the device you're on, you'll bring up a menu that says to hide tracks. You can adjust the channel settings, such like the name and the color of the channels. You can clone the channel. You can insert a channel, which is a completely new instrument. You can delete the track, which, as you see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks. You could delete the channel, which of course will delete the entire instrument. You can save the drum set because you may have added some additional drums or personalized it in some ways, guys. I will link a video right now that we went in totally all the way into the drum sequencer. So we're not going to go into all of the details. I would encourage you to pause this one and head over to that video that is linked right now to watch all of the finer points of how to work with the drum sequencer, because it is deep, and this video is not really going to dive into every one of those aspects, but we're going to focus on something that I didn't cover in there, as well as just the general 808 functions here. So getting to that, it's these two functions here: add a step sequencer track or to add a notes track. Okay, you'll notice here, if I click on this, look at the notes here. You'll notice I have the ability to adjust the swing. Okay, that is adjusting the swing of the overall channel. Now, if you notice, when I can click these notes, I'm clicking them and tapping or clicking them in and out. I cannot slide them left or right. I cannot adjust them. As you see, if I try to adjust them, there's no way for me to adjust them to make them happen sooner or later. I can't do that. I can't copy and paste them, right? That's just not how the step sequencer works, okay? So this is the step sequencer track that we're working with. But let's just say you decided to press record and started to, let's say you want to add some other sounds. Let's say Tom. I'm just adding sounds just for now. Okay, you see how I just added this track down here. What this is going to be, actually, if we dive in, this is going to be a note track. And you could see I can turn off the snap and to grid. I can turn it off, and I could slide this as far left as or far right as I want, as early or as late as I want. I can also extend the duration of these notes as well, making them shorter and longer. So kind of in some way affecting the release time or the decay, and in some cases kind of like the envelope settings. Okay, as you see right here, I can also move the sound completely as I wish, freely off of the grid, or put the snap on the grid. Okay, I could also go in here and click copy, and as you see, it's not the same in using the other step sequencer, where you can simply, you know, like whether you're diving into create a piano line or you're putting some bass sequencing in or whatever it may be, you could copy and paste these notes. Well, the drum sequencer is not like that. Okay, so I'm going to delete this channel because we don't really need it. It was just an example, right? Now let's get into it and understand a little bit more what you can do here and why this is so important for you to be able to go between, let's do the long press or right click between adding a step sequencer track and adding a note track. Okay, I just gave an example, but let's just dive in a little bit deeper and see if we can explain a little bit more clearly. So can you tell whether this one is a note track or if it's a step sequencer track? Well, I'll tell you what, it's not a step sequencer track, because you'll notice at the top of each of these notes, there is no little notch. Let me go back to a step sequencer track. Let's go to this one. And here we go. This one is a step sequencer track, and you could tell because each of these notes has a bit of a notch. Let's pull that down for now. You see a notch, right? You cannot click and drag this. If I tap, it's deleted. Okay, that's it. You're stuck to the grid. But sometimes you may want to use the sounds within the drum kits, in this case specifically the 808 drum kit, and you may want to put them off a beat, or you want to actually press record and play them directly with your MIDI controller, let's just say, or the typing keyboard, or whatever MIDI controller you have, right? Or maybe you just want to slide the notes left and right to be free off the grid, right? That's why we would use a note track. But we would use the step sequencer track if we wanted to sequence directly on the grid and maybe adjust the overall swing. Again, I'm not going to go into all of the details, all the parameters that you can adjust within these channels, like the velocity, the panning, the pitch, the repeat. We've already done this many times, and again, that video's linked, and I'll link another one as well throughout this video so that you guys can catch up on anything there that you may have missed. I decided to separate this drum channel into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tracks so that I could essentially just isolate each of these sounds and show you one set of sounds is actually on a step sequencer track, another set of sounds is actually on a note track. As you see, I can slide this anywhere, take off the grid and adjust it as you see freely. Okay, let me undo that. And the other ones, again, the same deal. We've got a step sequencer track. As you see, we've got the little notches. I cannot move them. Let's click on the next one. What do you guys think this one is? Is this a step sequencer track, or is this a note track, right? All of the parameters can be adjusted. The sequence right here, you can, again, I'm not going to dive into all of it. We've done this multiple times in the linked videos, you'll see, but you can adjust the sequence. You can send it to auxiliaries. You can adjust the envelope to shorten, extend the sounds as you wish. You could pitch shift, stretch, change the start time, the end time, and mixer functionality, of course, panning as well as volume control, right? And so here, what do you think this one is? Is this a step sequencer track, or would you say this is a note track? Now, of course, this is a step sequencer track, again, because you see swing is at the top. You cannot decide to turn on or off the snap. And then all of them have a little bit of a notch, let's say at the top, where you cannot delete it. Sorry, you cannot stretch it, move it. You can only add it or remove it. You cannot stretch it or change the position of that incrementally. You can simply just put it on the grid in one place or not. Okay, so one other quick thing, long press or right click you can hide all your tracks. So as you see, we've got the little arrow, which denotes that there are more tracks within this channel. So in case you have multiple channels with multiple tracks within, you can create, again, guys, with no matter what instrument, you can create multiple tracks. So for example, this bass sound, if I wanted to, let's just say, play another note. Let's just say I'm going to go one octave up or a couple octaves up. Let's say I wanted to add this note, okay? And I start to record now. It's going to record another track, right? Let me stop recording. And if I click record again, we're going to fill out that track. Now watch this. Remember, this is just a demo, okay? Let's let it come back. I'm going to press record again. As you see, we've got another track. Okay? Again, these are just samples, but I want to show you that you can create these patterns using different tracks. So don't take these notes too seriously, okay? Just know that, again, you can long press or right click and you can click hide notes or hide tracks. And you can also, again, right click or long press and you can open those up. So let me delete these tracks because we don't need them. Now, when you choose to delete, you can choose to delete the track or keep the track empty. It's up to you. So if you know that you made a mistake, perhaps, and you're going to come back, perhaps just keep the track, but delete the information. In this case, I'm going to delete the track. And for this one, just for the purposes, I'm going to, once I delete this last note, I'm going to delete it and I will keep the track. As you see, I've got an empty track. Of course, I can, go in and hide that track. Well, there's no reason for me to have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show tracks and I'm going to long press or right click and I'm going to delete track. And as you see, that track is completely gone. That down arrow is no longer there. So these are some of the basic functions of how you can create 808 patterns within FL Studio Mobile to create hip hop tunes, of course, to create many other tunes. There's one other quick thing I want to show before we go, and that is, you see how these are looped? You can see that notch right there. There's a notch right here. Let me make it a little bit bigger and zoom in a little bit more just so it's clear for those who are unfamiliar. You see that notch there, you see a notch there, and this one has no notch, there's no loop, there's no loop. But if I were to click this and extend it, you can see the notch begins there. So let's go back and let's just look at this particular track, okay? Let's look at this one here. This one's a little bit better. I'm going to long press or right click. Actually, just a tap will do it. And I'm going to click more and then I'm going to unlink loop. And as you see, for that portion that the cursor was over, the playhead, I'm unlinking the loop. And now this part is completely separate. They're not loops. They're not looped directly. They're individual instances. So we can make adjustments to them as we wish. Maybe we want to add another note, just for example, and let me add those back and let's go back so you can take a view. You see that those notes have been added there. If we wanted to, let's say, personalize this and add a couple more here, you'll notice that this is different from this and is different from that. So now we can create multiple loops within our tracks without having to adjust the main loop. So you could just, for purposes of recording, maybe you record one small part and you extend it all the way from the beginning of the track to the end, like I did here, where this is looped twice. But then once you realize you want to start getting into a little bit more customization or maybe a little bit more arrangement to make the song less linear and less repeated, you would simply just unlink that loop. And now you have two separate areas and you can work on each individually. Perhaps you want to pitch shift something, perhaps you want to add other instruments to that one particular part. It's a beautiful thing and definitely useful, something that I find myself using on a regular basis. Guys, thank you so much for checking this one out. Again, Winning with Blends, diving in to the drum sequencer as well, diving into the 808s, the tuned 808s, so much functionality within both of these. This is how you can create 808 patterns for your hip hop tunes and pretty much just about any tunes you're going to make within FL Studio Mobile. All right, guys, leave a comment, check out the description, give a thumbs up as well if you're feeling it, and share it with a friend. Let's get this on all sorts of different platforms all across social media. And you guys, let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear from you in the future. All the best to you guys again. Justin Blends. Take it easy.